Okay, I figured out the problem. StreamYard's the problem, not Ariel or her webcam. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod, taking you to 6 p.m. Eastern Time here on the show. Now that I'm sweating, thinking that this show wasn't going to happen today, I hope we all have a fantastic rest of our Friday. And I hope it's all better than the way that my Friday night is starting. All of us can only go up from here. So welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a lot to talk about with the NFL coming up this week. We've got Mid-Major Matt joining the show. We'll talk college football. We'll talk Major League Baseball. Tom Vecchio also joining the show around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where we'll talk some NFL, Major League Baseball, props on props on props. Matt's going to join us in just a few moments. And now I guess I should tweet out that the show is live since everybody else realized that we had technical difficulties to start the day. A lot going on in injuries. Let me just say we are live. Mid-Major Matt, college football and Major League Baseball. Tom Vecchio, NFL. Technology is not my friend today. Happy Friday. The chat was going well before, and now I feel like everyone gave up on us and went to another show. Kyle Hutton, you are always in the show, and you literally troll me every day. We get at least 5,000 to 7,000 people on this show a day. So I literally wish that you did a little more research before you started trolling, because all you do is troll, and it's very bizarre, because people who troll have no life. So anyway, we've got some updates on some... Oh, God. All you trolls are out. You guys are ridiculous. I feel like technology is completely failing me today, and I'm very behind on Twitter. But we do have some injury updates going into the weekend, if Twitter will allow me to find those. I feel like today, let's see. What is going on? Here we go. Okay. So the 49ers officially rule out Brock Purdy. Mac Jones is set to make his first start. I know. Hi, Joseph Rodriguez. Thanks for joining the show, as always. We talked about this with John Ewing's tweet yesterday and how he tweeted out about, let me see. Was it Purdy out, the Mac Jones stat? For everybody that missed this yesterday, Mac Jones has made 18 starts the past 2 years. He has 4-14 straight up, 6-12 against the spread. Brock Purdy now expected to be out 2 to 5 weeks due to turf toe. And that line moved pretty insane. I saw the line opened at about 7. And as soon as we heard the Purdy news, it just continued to plummet. San Francisco was -7. And now we're looking at that line down to San Francisco -3. 4-point move for Brock Purdy. No surprise, obviously. Joe Color is injured. Volpe, what? What are you saying, Joe? I don't even know what you're saying. Kyle, thanks for liking the show. I appreciate it. Volpe didn't play yesterday. The Yankees got the dub. Judge, 2 home runs. I mean, maybe it has to do with who we met before the game. That's the rumor going around. I don't know. But you guys will probably hate me for saying it. Yes, Volpe, injured. We already ranted about that yesterday. And because I'm all for tumult, because the show got off to a very late start, because technology hates me today, and I had to download a third-party service to be able to stream my webcam through StreamYard, because StreamYard apparently doesn't want to work with my webcam today, all of a sudden. No webcam for this guy. He's on his phone. He's at the track like he is every Friday. We're bringing on Mid-Major Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hello. Last time at the track, the meet ends this weekend. So next time you'll see me back in studio on Friday.
Oh, perfect. Well, at least you have good cell phone service, so that's good.
Yeah, it's ironic because my radio show is actually on right now, but I'm putting on a tape segment, so I'm good for the next 15 minutes.
Oh, perfect. So we won't keep you on for more than 15 minutes. I didn't text you back because of the technical problems that I was having before. So let's just get and jump into your card because you've got Major League Baseball, obviously. It was a really good pitcher today. We really enjoyed. And then we'll get to some of your college football stuff. Walker Buehler, he's now with the Phils, right?
Yeah, he's with the Phillies going up against the contact Kansas City Royals. He didn't look great in his minor league start. He didn't look great as a Red Sox, so I don't know why I would expect him to look good tonight. And I like that, look, the Royals are a team that makes a lot of contact. We hate the 3.5s because there's fluke strikeouts and bad calls by umpires, but I had to take a shot here with the bad pitcher against Kansas City.
Martin Perez, today must be Freaky Friday. We both like Martin Perez, which is kind of crazy. I'm only writing one of these. You like the over Ks and the over outs. Why?
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland just doesn't do very well against lefties. Martin Perez, outside of a couple random starts, we had 0 strikeouts, has been a guy who's going to give you length, A, and is going to give you strikeouts, B. And Cleveland's just a team that's striking out a lot lately. Usually we're fading Perez. Usually you and I are on his unders, but for some reason today we're on his overs.
Yeah, it's a little scary, but they make a lot of sense when you look at the numbers. Numbers can lie, but sometimes and mostly they don't. And we only have numbers to go off of. That's what we're doing. Hurston Waldrop, not many people might know him. He's an Atlanta Braves starter. Braves are going up against the Houston Astros today. I don't normally like to bet anything against the Astros. How come you're okay with Waldrop?
Oh my God, the Astros are outs over machine. I mean, if you look, I don't have the number in front of me. I put it up on my tweet, but it's like something like 20 of the last 22 right-handed starting pitchers have gone at least 5 innings against the Astros. We're getting a discount value here because Waldrop didn't go deep enough in his last start, but he's the guy other than that last start who's gone at least 5 1/3 every single time this season. So a guy who goes long in his outings against a team who doesn't force you to throw a lot of pitches. So I want to take advantage of it. This is my favorite bet of the day, the outs over for Hurston Waldrop. The only thing I'm worried about is if, they want to take him out early to conserve innings. But if they don't, he should definitely go over 5 innings as far as I'm concerned.
Ooh, okay. Best bet, Waldrop. That's a name people who don't pay attention may not know, but he is profitable. Justin Verlander, over 4.5 Ks, a guy that we didn't want to touch early in the season. He's coming into end of season form.
Yeah, he's been really good at home. Look at his numbers for the most part at home lately. He's only gone under 4.5, I think, twice at home, and that's included some tough teams. And look, you know me, I like fading the Dodgers when it comes to strikeouts. We hit 2 of his 3 overs in the Colorado series. Dollander went over his number. Freeland obviously went over his number. But, I like Verlander to kind of, this is the first time the Dodgers are seeing him this year. So I think that helps us out as well. He goes a little bit longer at home. So I'm going to take advantage of that with the 4.5 over here against the Dodgers.
Joe Dollar wants to know if you like Waldrop over Ks.
So, yeah, you know me. We hate the Astros, betting on the Astros when it comes to strikeout props. We can never get them right, it feels like. So that's why I went outs. I don't hate the over. He has gotten a little bit less strikeouts lately. He's also walked a lot more guys, which is very concerning. But I'm just afraid of playing strikeout props against the Astros. So that's why I stayed away there and went to the outs instead.
Did you like anything on Yamamoto today?
So the Giants are on a massive under kick, it feels like lately. But then you look at Yamamoto, his last 2 starts, he's had double-digit strikeouts. The thing to watch here is he threw almost 120 pitches last start. So if you're the Dodgers who have higher aspirations, and yes, they're still trying to get that 2 seed from my Phillies, but maybe he goes a little bit less tonight. You got a Giants team that's making more contact as of late. Slight lean to the under, but it's something I didn't play myself.
Looking at anything else. I do have a Trevor Rogers prop, so I'll get to that in a little bit. Seeing if anyone else had questions. Okay, no one else had questions, so let's dive into college football real quick. And I hate that I am on a delay right now. This is terrible. I don't know. I got to fix StreamYard. But anyway, college football, you wrote a lot for the Mid-Major Matt newsletter. What stands out to you the most heading into the weekend?
So based off of the spots this weekend, you could be betting on some hideous teams. I mean, college football is a sport where you see a lot of spots. And I mentioned the 3 kinds in the newsletter. Sandwich spot, where basically you have 2 tough games around a bad game. against a lesser opponent, a look-ahead spot where you have a larger game ahead and you've got a lesser opponent this week, and the sleepy spot, which is basically you're coming off of a huge game and you're playing a nobody this week. You look at Oklahoma; they're playing at Temple this week. I hope my Owls can get the victory there. But you have Oklahoma coming off the Michigan game and then getting ready to host Auburn next week. They had College Game Day last week, and now they're heading to Philadelphia to play against a crowd. Temple's look good this year, but they beat them by like 50 points last year. That's a potential sleepy spot. You've got SMU coming off a 2-overtime loss to Baylor, and then the Iron Skillet game next week. They're playing at Missouri State, which is a fascinating game. This is Missouri State's first year as an FBS football program. Irony is Kevin Jennings, the starting quarterback for SMU, was once a Missouri State commitment. So basically, this is an interesting game with so many layers. If you can stomach it, you would take the 28 there. Also, you've got Illinois. You've got a lot of teams playing lesser opponents in non-conference games before the start of their conference. So once again, research is your best friend. Find the coaches who take these games seriously. Find the coaches who don't take these games seriously and just try to win. That will help you out handicapping this weekend.
Thoughts on Colorado tonight?
So I lean to Houston. The line movement, a lot of money's coming in on Colorado. I wonder if that's still Coach Prime money, that basically a lot of people have a lot of respect for Coach Prime. But I really like this Houston team. I think Houston's got a really good defense. They've got a ton of guys on offense back, and Colorado might be starting their third-string quarterback tonight. I think the line move is Colorado respect. I don't necessarily love it. I would consider the Houston money line tonight, and then maybe pair them off with something else you like money line wise.
What should we expect, or what should we know about this Georgia-Tennessee game?
So, I mean, look, Georgia has had some issues at times with Tennessee's speed. The Tennessee wants to go, 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 go. Georgia doesn't necessarily want to. They're more matter of fact. They're more, occasionally they'll pick up the pace a little bit. You could see a lot of points early. I think this is one of those points early, less points later once the game kind of settles down. So if there's a lot of points early, maybe a live under in the second half will be the way to go. But I would not be surprised if Tennessee's speed and quickness surprises Georgia a little bit and then things kind of settle down.
Bill Belichick also back out there. And I know you wrote about this in the newsletter. Is he going to be public? Is everyone now going to fade him? What do you think?
So I don't know what to expect. I mean, I've made the joke on my show that Bill Belichick has treated the Jets like an FCS opponent at times and has run up the score on them. They're playing my Richmond Spiders here tomorrow. I don't know necessarily what to think. I think Belichick is going to keep his starters in a little longer. The number's 21.5, but they haven't looked very good. So this could be a close game where he has to play his starters all 4 quarters because they just can't run away from a lesser FCS opponent.
Major Matt, anything else before you head out? I know you got to get to your radio show.
No, I just think this is an interesting weekend because if you bet a lot of dirty teams and lesser teams, you might get some interesting results that if you didn't pay attention to the spots and stuff. By the way, also the South and the Midwest is going to be very hot. A lot of 90-degree temperatures in Mississippi and Louisiana. So make sure to pay attention to where the teams are that are coming there. Like North Texas is hosting Washington State. It's going to be in the mid-90s for that game. Washington State will not be used to that heat, so maybe a live bet like halfway through if North Texas is losing because they'll be more used to the heat than a Washington State will be.
Mid-Major Matt, always bringing the heat to the show on Mondays and Fridays. We appreciate you as always. Good luck this weekend. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
And everyone make sure to check out Mid-Major Matt's newsletter where he has that on thepropqueen.com. He writes for it like 3 days a week, so definitely make sure to check it out so you can get all that information right to your inbox. We're going to wait for Tom Vecchio. He should be on in about 5 minutes, so I'm going to share the screen and just give you guys some matchups to watch for today in Major League Baseball. Share screen. This is the handy-dandy MLB Network packet. It gives so much useful information. It's like my favorite thing in the whole world. So this tells you like all key storylines for the day and whatnot. But these are the matchups to watch. So this is what you should be looking at for tonight if you want to take any hitter props. I know you guys are all college footballed out and you're all going to try to wait for the NFL, and we're getting to that, trust me. But I know there's some degens out there looking for a parlay. William Contreras, he is 3 for 9 with a double and a home run against Andre Palente. Bryce Terang, 4 for 10 with a double against Andre Palente. Gunnar Henderson hitting 364, 4 for 11 with 2 home runs against Chris Bassett. They're in Toronto tonight. Juan Soto, mediocre, hitting 278 against DeGrom. Mookie Betts, not good in his career against Justin Verlander, and that's a lot of at-bats. He is 3 for 30, Mookie Betts, against Justin Verlander. 3 for 30 with a double and 3 strikeouts. Shohei Ohtani also struggles against Justin Verlander. 5 for 23 with 10 strikeouts. Granted, 2 home runs, but 10 strikeouts for Ohtani against Verlander. Mike Trout hitting 182 against Luis Castillo. That's 2 for 11 with 6 strikeouts. Castillo at home pitches much better, and he is a K machine at home. His number was just a little bit too high for me today. Taylor Ward hitting 313, 5 for 16, 4 doubles, 7 Ks against Castillo. Luis Renfo, 227, 5 for 22 with 3 homers. Joe Adell, 286, 2 for 7, 2 homers against Luis Castillo. Jose Ramirez, 313 batting average, 5 for 16 with a homer against Martin Perez. Kyle Schwarber hitting 364, 8 for 22 with 2 doubles, 2 homers, 7 Ks against Lorenzen. Josh Bell hitting 500, 6 for 12, a double and a home run against Mitch Keller. And Eugenio Suarez hitting 417, 5 for 12, 3 home runs for Suarez against Yusei Kikuchi, who we do like to fade Kikuchi, especially when he's on the road. I don't mind fading Kikuchi. He kind of wasn't a good fade last year, but all good things must come to an end, right? I mean, it can't always be great. What are you guys saying in the chat? Palente, 4 more earned runs. Let's check out props.cash for that. My computer, I totally shut down and restarted because I thought maybe that would help StreamYard and use my webcam again, but clearly StreamYard doesn't want to use my webcam today. I don't know what's going on. Palente. Share screen again. We've got 2 minutes to Tom, but I know he's here. Share screen. Okay. Andre Palente, earn runs prop. So you said 4+ earn runs. Jesus, J-Main. 2.5 is the prop. So Palente, they're on the road at Milwaukee, away. Palente is averaging 3 earned runs allowed on the road this year. On the road at night, 3.3. 6 of 8 for Palente went over 2.5 earned runs when he's on the road at night. And if you were to look at the MLB Prop spreadsheet, which premium subscribers have access to on the propqueen.com, you would see that the Milwaukee Brewers are averaging 3 runs per starter. So 3 or more runs for Palente, aka over 2.5 earned runs. J-Main, that's a pretty good find, my friend. Pretty good find. DeGrom, over or under outs. Okay. And remember, guys, you could still, using promo code PropQueen, for $9, you get it for $9 the first month of football season. If you sign up until September 23rd, the promo's running. So you could get all of this on props.cash using promo code PropQueen, and it's $9. So it's really useful. So Jacob DeGrom, over earned runs. Right now, DeGrom is on the road at the Mets, which is a nice little revenge game. Away at night, DeGrom. Wait, you said outs. Sorry. Outs. So away at night, he's averaging just under 17 outs. Obviously, a revenge spot against the Mets. On the newsletter, on the propqueen.com spreadsheet, the Mets average 15 outs against starters. But again, revenge spot, Citi Field, it feels different. It is a little fishy to me that the number is 15.5 with juice to the under, though. I'm just going to warn you that I am a little fished out on this because I think it's a little weird that for DeGrom in a revenge spot where he's averaging 16 outs a game on the road, it should be at least minus 130 to the over. Let's get Tom's thoughts on that. Tom Vecchio, I know you're my baseball guy, and I know that you are going to have some thoughts on a revenge spot here at Citi Field for Jacob deGrom. What's up? Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Both of these props are rather interesting just looking at them. Palante 4 earned, obviously, at least where I'm seeing on DK is plus 185. Obviously, there's a way to, if you don't love those odds, Brewers team total going over 4.5 is minus 104. Now, minus 104 and plus 185 are vastly different odds. So I'm on the Brewers money line tonight. As I discussed this morning, I have it at minus 180. They're just a better team. They're coming off a couple losses. They're back at home. They are significantly better at home. So I'm willing to play money lines like that, especially in baseball at this point in the season where they just need to lock up a win. So point being, I think the Brewers score tonight. The safe route is just to take the team total runs because Palante gives up 3. He gets pulled. They come through and score. But shooting for the plus money, I don't mind because he is bad. Like, I'm backing them also because Palante is a terrible pitcher.
I know, it's crazy. He actually had a decent year for K's last year, but this year, especially on the road, no bueno for Andre Palante. We're getting down to we're getting down to the end of the regular season in baseball. Yeah. I had this conversation with Mark Zeno yesterday. The Yankees, prior to, I think yesterday, were still the favorites to win the World Series outside of the AL. It was like the Yankees were $1 ahead of the Tigers, which was mind-boggling to me, the way that the Tigers played that series outside of the last game. Who is your best team out of the American League?
Out of the American League, it looks like the Blue Jays. I understand why the Yankees are there, better than the Tigers or the Blue Jays or the Mariners. It's just really just a risk aversion from the books. Like, the books are never going to hang a 12-1 number on the Yankees. That's just because they have to mitigate risk at a certain point. I would say Blue Jays or Mariners. That's what it really comes down to. I think the Mariners pitching staff is the best in all of baseball.
Their bats just have to get hot, but there's a ton of value there at like 13-1.
Yeah, so I do like the Mariners. I do like the Blue Jays even without Bo, and he should be back. Like, he should be back when he go on the 7th. I think he went on the IL or the 8th, whatever it was. So he should be back by the time, just call it October 1st rolls around. I like the Mariners. If they win a division, you have a home team that has arguably, again, in my mind, the best pitching staff in all of baseball that can throw out 5 starters. Not many teams can match that.
I love the Mariners. I hope they get hot at the right time. Ideally, I would love to see the Mariners and the Padres in the World Series. We know someone's going to choke, though.
Yeah.
I also love those bets where you could bet the league to win a World Series. And yesterday I said, National League, if you could get them at a decent price, like minus 120, minus 130, isn't so bad.
It's not. Definitely the 3 favorites, you'd be banking on, obviously, Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers to come through. I always think there's better routes to go. I would take direct outcomes just because I prefer the longer.
Right, you like those direct outcome markets.
Yeah,
I like that.
I still have some in pocket, like Dodgers to beat the Mets in the NLCS, which doesn't look great at this point. But
you said tonight that you're betting something because of a hedge or something, right?
Well, I said an emotional hedge. I'm on the Red Sox money line tonight because the fact that the Red Sox are
I didn't
plus
fully
money.
Read your text. I was in the middle of a meltdown that StreamYard isn't connecting to my webcam.
Yeah, I'm on the Red Sox money line tonight at plus was 105, 104, whatever it might be. It's down to plus 102 now. Like, the Red Sox shouldn't be underdogs at home against really anyone. So, like, Luis Gil is good. Giolito's been good this year. He has been great. He's been through stretches where he's looked really good. But, again, as you know, like, we're Yankees fans. I'm just betting on the Red Sox as an emotional hedge. Like, if the Red Sox win, then I win my bet. And if the Red Sox lose,
Giolito to go far this game, though. Like, at least further than 15.5.
He should. He should. So, yeah, I'm on the Red Sox. I'm on the Brewers.
For tonight.
Yeah.
That's Tom's plays for tonight. But now let's look ahead to the weekend. Nope, those are my props. Where's Tom's? Tom's right here.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf is your anytime touchdown scorer.
Yeah. Really like Metcalf. So in week 1, or I should say not just week 1, but overall for NFL, I like to always reference either red zone target share or end zone target share once we start talking about TDs, at least for receivers, not necessarily running backs. We look at, touches inside the 5, but week 1, DK didn't have any red zone targets just because that's the way the game played out for the Steelers. But I like his target share overall. It's at 24.1%. I love the fact he's going up against his former team, little revenge narrative. We can sprinkle that on top of him. Again, more importantly, as I talked about with DK leading into the game against the Jets, like no one should really challenge him for target competition when it comes to the Steelers passing offense. So when we're getting a number one wide receiver at a plus 160 price, I think the price is wrong. So, not to, allude to, Happy Gilmore and Bob Barker, the price is wrong, but it should be plus 130, plus 120, somewhere around there. So the fact that we're getting plus 160 on the number one receiving option for a team, I like it. And I will buy into that time and time again. I will also say on Monday night, I'm already on Ladd McConkey at plus 155 for a touchdown. It's the same thing. He's the dominant option in that offense. Quentin Johnson is not going to go for 2 touchdowns, and Keenan Allen's not going to touch on every game. Ladd is the option, and when he's being priced at plus 155, I'm making a play on the number along with the underlying metrics.
Anytime touchdowns still annoy me. And last week, I already was eliminated from my own pool because I couldn't get someone to score a touchdown. Like, I hate this market. So what do you look at for other people that may be looking for anytime touchdown scorers?
Well, it's like, think of it like a funnel. Like the top of the funnel, the most important thing is obviously snaps. Like what percentage of snaps do they play on? They have to play on snaps to be on the field in order to score. And then again, it's different for running back or receiver. But if it's a receiver, you obviously want them playing on a high percentage of snaps. You want them playing on, you want them to have a high target share. You want them to be running a ton of routes. You want, targets per route run. Depending on what type of receiver it is, they could be looking at a high ADOT, which is average depth of target, air yard share, whatever it might be that is going to help you along with not just being on the field, but okay, Jameson Williams on the Lions, like he has a super high ADOT, so he can break one off based on a 50, 60-yard catch, but he doesn't always have a high target share. So he's not always involved in the offense at a very high rate, but if he does catch one, it's going to be going there. So it always starts with being on the field with snaps, target share, yards per route run, any of those things to add in a little piece that's going to help me get to the price that it's ultimately at. And again, there are times where I think St. Brown this week is at like minus 120 or whatever it was. Like I'm never playing that price on St. Brown, even though I do think he scores.
How much do you feel that the anytime touchdown market is profitable, even if, like, let's say, like anytime home runs, where you're obviously, if you're not going to say minus 120, you're not going to bet that. You're going to look for someone that has the value at even money or more. Yet, obviously, it means that there's somewhat of underdogs to do it.
Right.
So do you feel like it's been profitable anyway because the payout ends up maximizing on what you might have lost?
It does. I actually tweeted out last night based on that FanDuel recap thing that they sent for NFL season, like looking back to last year, your NFL recap. Like I was in, they say it, I don't know how accurate this is, but like top 1.8% of touchdown bettors from last year, which I think is good. But touchdowns are easier just mathematically compared to home runs. If a player does score a lot of touchdowns, they're going to be hitting touchdowns in like 40% of their games, which is not the same for home run. Like no one hits home runs in 40% of their games. That's crazy. So just mathematically, based on the odds, the touchdowns do have a higher rate of hitting.
J-Main 34 oh no, sorry, not J-Main. My bad. Easy Money wants to know Courtland Sutton.
Courtland Sutton, totally fine option. We can't really take what the Colts did last week and be like, okay, they're a great defense. Like we have to realize that they were playing the Dolphins, who are terrible. So buying into a player, again, like Courtland Sutton, high target share. I don't really think there's anyone in the offense that should be challenging him for a dominant share of targets. Mims is going to be there at times. That's certainly fine. But I do think Courtland Sutton is the best option. He should be the red zone target that Bo Nix is looking towards.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, I know you mentioned him for a touchdown, but I mean, J-Main's going for 100 plus.
I think his prop is, what is it, in the 60s for, I think that feels right. I want to say 74 or something like that for St. Brown, 63. Him going for 100 plus is certainly on the table, especially considering the Bears defense. Schefter tweeted out the injury report before. They already ruled out one cornerback, another one that's listed as questionable. So, they're back at home. They got to get the offense moving. And St. Brown's a player that really should command 10 plus targets anytime. And him going for 100 yards really shouldn't be too much of an issue. So I don't mind that. Let's see what the odds are. He's 63, St. Brown, alt for 100. You're getting over 3-1. I think that's fine.
Rams are at the Titans. This line's
Yeah.
very interesting because it went from 4.5 to 5.5. Yet I'm not sure how I feel about the Rams west to east, even though Sean McVay does have a good record in that spot. You've got Davante Adams in his second game in a Rams uniform. He's coming off a 51-yard performance, 4 catches, 8 targets, no touchdowns against Houston. How come this is the week for Davante Adams to break out?
So Davante Adams, like that line from last week, I think is actually like sneaky good. More importantly, the 8 targets there, which I like to see. He was second on the team in target share behind, of course, Puka Nacua. It should really just be those two up at the top and really no one else that's going to have a dominant target option. But he was shadowed this past week by Derek Stingley Jr. from the Texans. And when you look at Davante Adams, if you look at his CROE, which is catch rate over expected, he actually had a negative 22 catch rate over expected because he was being shadowed 4 catches based on his historical catch rate, on 8 targets. Like he could have had 70 yards, 80 yards based on if he had 6-7 catches based on those 8 targets. So when we have a player that essentially the line hasn't moved and his involvement in the offense with that target share is going to stay relatively sticky on a week-to-week basis, I'm going to attack that knowing that the Titans secondary is not something that I'm afraid of, because if he went for 70 plus last week, his line wouldn't be 58. He was at 51. He could have very easily been at 60 plus last week.
I like that it's the second time through, and Puka obviously still, even though he got a little banged up in that game, there is a chance that now we'll see, okay, let's take a little load off of Puka and add it on to Davante Adams. Patrick Mahomes, big game against the Eagles, Super Bowl revenge spot. Patrick Mahomes has not lost 3 straight at home. I don't think ever is the stat, or in years, something like that.
Yeah, so I really like Mahomes, and I'm not a big believer in the running back room for the Chiefs. I think Isaiah Pacheco is a good running back, but he's also not a running back that you're going to give the ball to 20 plus times. Kareem Hunt is going to be mixed in there. And when we look at most importantly, the Eagles defense from last week, Javonte Williams went for 15 carries for, I think it was 54 yards. Like he's under 4 yards per carry. Terrible. Miles Sanders, 5 carries for 53 yards, 54 yards, one of which was a 49-yard run. So he's going for like 4 carries for 5 yards outside of that. And that's when the Eagles didn't have Jalen Carter as he was ejected. So the Eagles defense was pretty darn good last week. And it's actually going to be better because Jalen Carter is going to play this week. So the thesis is that the Chiefs are not going to be able to run the ball. I just don't think they're that good overall, and the defense is very good. So Mahomes passing the ball is what we should see. They had a 70% pass rate in game 1 against the Chargers. They've been in the top 10 in each of the last 3 seasons in terms of pass rate, just in terms of play calling. And when you go down swinging, like you want to go down with Mahomes and the ball in his hands rather than handing off to Isaiah Pacheco.
Oh, you mean like the Ravens didn't do?
I mean, I don't want to talk about that. I will say I do have some Derrick Henry props coming up. I will be sharing, but like you want to have the ball in the hands of your best player, and that's Mahomes. It's not giving extra carries to Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt against a great defense.
What are you doing with Derrick Henry in an 11.5-point spread?
Over 20.5 longest rush.
Oh, okay.
He was at that number 11 times last year, I think it was. 22 other times. He failed to get it a handful of games. But if you're telling me a player did something 11 of 17 times and then he was at the number 2 other times, like we're talking about 13 times, he's going to break one off. He always does. And I think that's the most effective way to bet Derrick Henry or Saquon. I don't want to bet into an 89, 91, 95 rushing prop. I'd rather take over a longest rush, which every time we see them, it's a highlight. Like, 49 yards. What do you know? Surprise, surprise.
Are there any tight end matchups that stood out to you?
So speaking of the Eagles, Grant Calcaterra should be starting because Dallas Goedert has been ruled out. I wouldn't mind looking there. David Njoku should see good volume just because if they are playing from behind.
Also, I bet Njoku last week with Joe Flacco because Joe Flacco loves tight ends.
He does.
And last week in the matchup, it was a perfect matchup against tight ends, and Njoku sucked. So he's definitely going to have a good week this week.
Right. So I wouldn't mind Njoku just based on also the game script. Like if they're playing from behind by double-digit scores, he's going to see the volume.
I like Flacco over pass attempts. It is very high,
Sure.
but it's high for a reason. It's 37.5.
Yeah, that's a high number. And again, if he's not hitting that, it means that the Ravens aren't covering probably. That's what the correlation would be. So I don't mind that. Tight end on Monday with Brock Bowers not practicing today. Now, obviously, there is an extra day. Michael Mayer was involved a bit for the Raiders the other day, and he is a former high pick for them. So it could be Mayer being involved a bit more than we realize if Brock Bowers is not healthy or just not fully healthy or not playing at all.
I'm trying to think. I actually like under on Kelsey just because Kelsey, and I'm going to get to it in a little bit with my props, but the Eagles have been great against tight ends for the last couple of years. Number 1 in the league last year. Travis Kelsey has gone under his receiving yards prop against them in 3 of the last 4 games. And it's also dropped already from 53.5 to 49.5.
Okay. I mean, that certainly makes sense. I have a tough time with the Chiefs passing offense, at least now with Worthy being listed as doubtful, where, last week it's Hollywood Brown, Thornton's being involved. They're going to mix in Noah Gray. It's going to be Kelsey. It's like there's too many options where until one player steps up, and I know Hollywood Brown had 10 targets, I believe, or 16 targets, 10 catches, whatever it was in that game against the Chargers. Until one player has that on a week-to-week basis, I think you just trust Mahomes with passing yards because you don't know who it's going to go to, but you could just take Mahomes and they have to pass.
Give me a survivor play for all of those in Survivor this week.
I mean, if it's not the Ravens, then who else would it be? But I'm actually not in any Survivor pools this season.
It's so fun.
Yeah, I was in a couple last year. I wouldn't mind taking the Steelers at home Steelers, Lions, Ravens, I guess.
I was going to say, who I think crushes this week? The Lions. And I never like to lay that kind of number. That matchup is bad for Chicago. Bad.
Yeah, I mean, they, with a new offensive coordinator, this is going to be a real test for them because, Goff has always struggled outdoors.
All you have to do is run the football.
They have to be more dynamic than that. You need to have St.
Not
Brown.
against this defense. And
That's
don't
true.
tell me that last week that you thought that Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason were testing the Bears' run D.
No. I think that was just a product of how that game played out, which was horrible in the first half and then coming to life in the fourth quarter.
That game really pissed me off because I should have hit a running back prop over and I didn't. But it's fine. I'll get over it. Tom Vecchio, thank you as always for joining the show. Thanks for all the great insight. Literally, when you come on, the entire chat's great info, great advice, great analysis. That's what we get from Tom Vecchio. Have a great weekend. Good luck with those bets. We'll see you again next week.
Same to you. Go Ravens. Henry over 20.5.
Okay, I'll root for you. I don't want to root for my team. Bye. Oh, the Ravens. I can't stand this team. What was I going to say before? Oh, I know. I was going to tweet that my prop queen edges were coming up. I'm all over the place today. I actually have a birthday dinner for myself coming up later tonight, and I have a million people texting me about what the plan is and what we're doing and where we're going. My birthday is not till Tuesday, by the way, so you don't have to say happy birthday yet, but it is on Tuesday. And I think Coach is going to come on because he came on for his birthday. So now I told him he has to come on for my birthday. So everyone has to be nice to me. And I don't know where Shawn Michael is today. I hope he's okay. Shawn Michael's not here today. Something must have happened. So it's been very peaceful in the show with no Shawn, but I hope he's there for my birthday on Tuesday. Anyway, let's get to NFL props. These are the 3 that stood out, but then I'm going to tell you guys a few other NFL props that I kind of lean towards as well. So starting with Jahmyr Gibbs, which is kind of what I was alluding to with Tom, to take the over on Jahmyr Gibbs rushing yards. That's how the game script should play out. Gibbs didn't have a great game on the ground last week. He rushed for 19 yards on 9 carries. That was against Green Bay, who has a much better run D. I am not buying the Chicago Bears run D. They faced Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. Bad. Jahmyr Gibbs is younger. He's faster. He's way more dynamic. He's going to be what proves to us if the Bears defense is better or not, which it is not. The Bears allowed the second most rushing yards per game last year to running backs. Panthers were number 1. Gibbs ran for 109 and 87 yards last season in both games against the Bears. He also went over 67.5 rushing yards in all 6 games that he played against bottom 10 run Ds. Jahmyr Gibbs over 67.5 rushing yards this week. James Conner I don't know if anyone else is talking about this. James Conner over 63.5 rushing yards. This number is actually a slap in the face. The Carolina Panthers run D just made Travis Etienne look so good that the Jaguars dropped Tank Bigsby. Come on. We know Etienne has been in the league for a few years, and he's never been as good as 143 rushing yards, I think is what he had. Yeah, 143 rushing yards last week on 16 carries. James Conner last year, again, I don't know if anyone's mentioned this, he rushed for 100 plus in all 4 games that he faced the bottom 10 run D. And we're not even talking 8th. We're not even talking 7th. We're talking the worst run D in football last year, who clearly is still the worst run D in football, allowing 143 rushing yards to Travis Etienne last week. James Conner, over 63.5 rushing yards. It is a 6.5 point spread. James Conner should be running the football against the Panthers. And lastly, I mentioned this one, Travis Kelce, under 53.5 receiving yards. This is now at 49.5, so maybe you wait till Sunday to see if it gets bought back up. He had 2 catches for 47 yards last week. Last year against teams top 10 against tight ends, Kelce had 17 receiving yards against the 49ers and 30 receiving yards against the Texans. Against Philly, Kelce has gone under in 3 of the last 4, dating back to 2021. In those games, he had 23, 44, 39, and 81 receiving yards. 32% of tight ends went over their prop against the Eagles last year, just 32%. So stay away from Travis Kelce this week, at least when it comes to like receiving yards. Maybe not so much anytime touchdown and whatnot. But okay, Jamie, what did we learn though? What did we learn about backup running backs? People were trying to tell me to not do ETN last week and to do Tank Bigsby. And guess what? ETN did great, went right over his rushing yards prop, and Bigsby got dropped. So I'm just saying, like, there's still something to be said about a number 1 running back. You could be faster, but your number 1 back's still going to get most of the touches. So I would go with that. Some other things that stood out to me. Where's my prop sheet? Now I'm going down the list on the prop sheet that stood out. Props. Okay. Chase Brown, Samaje Perine over on receiving yards or receptions you could take a look at, because the Jaguars allowed the 2nd most receiving yards per game to running backs, and Chuba Hubbard had 32 receiving yards last week. So that's something to also keep in mind. Lamar Jackson under his pass attempts. Cleveland was top 10 against pass attempts allowed last year, probably because, to Tom's point, the Ravens could be covering an 11.5 point spread. So why would Lamar throw? Just feed the ball to your running backs and run the clock. Something the Ravens didn't know. I don't think they knew what they were doing last week. I don't know, whatever. I'm over them. Derrick Henry under receiving yards is something I'm thinking about too. Cleveland allowed the 5th least receiving yards per game to running backs last year. Justice Hill, we really didn't see much of last week. So I'm a little nervous to fade Justice Hill because we didn't see him enough, and maybe they will utilize him more, especially in an 11.5 point spread kind of game. Derrick Henry, they used him a lot more out of the backfield last week than normal. So maybe he takes a step back there. So I would say under on receiving yards. Like I mentioned with Tom, Joe Flacco over pass attempts. Surprisingly, it is Flacco's first time back at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore since leaving the Ravens. He did play the Ravens as a Jet, but that was at MetLife. So this is his first time back in Baltimore. He just threw 45 times last week against Cincinnati. And in the game that he played Baltimore, he threw 59 times. It's an 11.5 point spread. He has to throw the football. They're going to play from behind. And Joe Flacco is going to take matters into his hands and try to beat the Ravens because it's a revenge game. So over on pass attempts for Joe Flacco, it's 37.5, but it is high for a reason. Prime time, CJ Stroud. I kind of like CJ Stroud on Monday Night Football over his pass attempts or passing yards. The Bucs allowed the 2nd most pass attempts and 3rd most passing yards per game. And Stroud only threw 27 times for 188, but the Rams are a really good defense week 1. Last year, he did have like 32 plus in majority of games against bad secondaries. So take a look at CJ Stroud. If it's 31.5, 32.5, you could still take the over there. So for anyone that still likes to bet Major League Baseball, I've got a bunch of pitcher props for today. And I spelt Michael Lorenzen wrong because this is what happens when I am rushing. Michael Lorenzen over 4.5 hits allowed. Lorenzen's allowing an average of 5.5 hits per game on the road, going over in 77% of road games. In 7 of his last 10 games away from Kansas City, Lorenzen's allowed 5 or more hits. 3 of the last 5 right-handers to face the Phillies went over their hits allowed prop. And overall this year, starters are averaging just over 5 hits to the Phillies. So over 4.5 hits allowed for Lorenzen. Brad Lord pitching for the Nationals, over 4.5 strikeouts against the Pirates. Small sample size, but Lord only faced one team that strikes out a lot, and that's the Yankees. And he punched out 5 batters. Righties are averaging 5 strikeouts per game against Pittsburgh, with 10 straight going over 4.5 strikeouts. So look at Brad Lord over 4.5 Ks if you want an underrated play. For you guys, Trevor Rogers, whoever mentioned it in the chat, this is my Trevor Rogers play. I actually really like this. Under 4.5 strikeouts. Rogers actually hasn't seen a team with a low strikeout rate yet against lefties. There's not many this year, but Rogers has not seen one. The Jays are one of the lowest strikeout teams against lefties. It's why lefties have 13 overs and 21 unders against them, averaging 4 strikeouts a game. 8 of the last 11 southpaws to face the Jays went under 4.5 strikeouts. And with Rogers on the road, I don't mind fading it. So go with the under 4.5 Ks for Rogers. Mid-Major Matt mentioned this one. We agree on it. Martin Perez over 3.5 Ks, bit of juice, but he's getting the Guardians. And Perez has had at least 5 strikeouts in 4 of the 5 starts against high K rate teams this year against lefties. The Guardians strike out much more against southpaws, averaging just over 5 strikeouts a game, 24 overs and 15 unders when facing the Guardians. 9 of the last 12 lefties to start against Cleveland since the All-Star break also went over 3.5 Ks. Too low of a number. It's not accounting for the lefty-righty splits for the Guardians. Perez goes over 3.5 Ks. And then Lucas Giolito over 15.5 outs, plus 100. Yankees, Red Sox. So Giolito has gone over 15.5 outs in 4 of his 6 home games at night. Overall at home, he's averaging just under 17 outs a start. Starters average 16 outs a game against the Yankees. Giolito just went under at Yankee Stadium on August 21st, 14 outs. And you know what I love? I love to go to the opposite side when something just happened in the last month, and it doesn't happen again the same way. Giolito's at home. He went under last time. He's going over this time. 2 more. Quinn Priester under 17.5 outs. Priester went under in 4 of 6 games at home at night, averaging just over 16 outs to start. 4 of the last 6 righties to face St. Louis went under their outs prop. And overall this year, starters are averaging 17 outs to start against the Cardinals. JP Sears over 4.5 Ks against the Rockies. Sears has started 19 games against teams with high K rates against lefties. He went over in 10 of those 19 at home. 5 of 8 went over. Lefties averaging just under 6 strikeouts to start against the Rockies. 7 of the last 13 since the All-Star break, going over 4.5 Ks. The prop also went up from 3.5 to 4.5. JP Sears always loses when I bet him, so I just think that it does well. And I'm not going to bet it. So this way you guys can win. Hopefully he wins, because whenever I bet JP Sears, he loses. So I just think the numbers are there to back JP Sears. And yes, he does play much better when he's at Petco. I know that you're saying Rogers is hard, EC money, but the thing is, Rogers has still never faced a team that does, every team Rogers has faced this year strikes out a lot against lefties. There are a lot of lineups this year that strike out a lot against lefties. The Blue Jays just aren't one of them, and he's on the road. That's why it's a fade for me. You guys know what it is. It is the best bets of the day. We are going to the Royal Locks. Royal Locks of the day. You're not going to like it because Trevor Rogers is on the list. But James Conner over 63.5 rushing yards. Mentioned this earlier. He had at least 100 rushing yards in all 4 games against teams that are bottom 10 against the run. Connor's getting the worst run D in football this weekend, getting the Carolina Panthers. Martin Perez over 3.5 Ks. Perez has gone over this number in 4 of 5 starts against teams with high K rates with at least 5 strikeouts. And the Guardians, they strike out a lot more against lefties, averaging just over 5 strikeouts a game in those spots. And then lastly, Trevor Rogers, he's on the road, getting a team like Toronto that doesn't strike out much against lefties. That's not something that Rodgers is used to this year because he's mostly faced teams with high K rates against Southpaws. So we're going under 4.5 Ks against Toronto tonight for Trevor Rodgers. Happy Friday, everyone. I am going to drink some wine. And just so everyone knows, when I drink out of this glass, it is water. It is not wine, but I'm going to dump this and now pour wine in it. Hope you all have a great weekend. I will see you guys Monday, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. Good luck to all your bets. And I will also be on Last Call on Sunday on Wager Talk.